that we are creating the things that we are out of plastics. And I'm bringing this up because when you think about recycling, you have to put yourself in the position of the recycler, right? You have to make money. We don't recycle because it's the right thing to do. We recycle because it's a business. It is a material that is produced, used, collected, and reprocessed. And so there's a lot that goes into that. Now, we're facing a crisis right now as it relates to recycling. In fact, the majority of our plastics, our recycled plastics, used to be taken by China. China announced this year that at the end of 2017, they're no longer taking our plastics anymore, meaning that that will force market development here, well, hopefully force market development here in the States, which is what we've needed for a very long time. But to answer your question about, what do I do? What's the best kind of plastics? How do I recycle? It's really complex right now. If there's a market for that type of plastic, then it'll be recovered, it'll be recycled. However, I would say 1 and 2 are readily recovered and recycled based on the design of the product. That's the other problem. Producers are not designing products for the recyclers, they're designing products for the consumer, and they're mixing plastics together in, like, one product could have 3 different kinds of plastics. You can't mix them together, it's like mixing together paint. And so a massive, massive part of the solution will be coming from the producers and the designers and the brand owners to design their products to fit within a circular model of production rather than literally creating waste. They should not be creating waste, they should be promoting the material is reincarnated or truly recycled. But what that is going to mean is we're going to have to start pulling out certain things like dyes and different additives that are in these products. That's contamination. It's kind of like going back to the mixing paint analogy. Those dyes and those additives, that's contaminating that material as well. So we need to focus on how we fundamentally change the way that we're producing plastic to make it a bit more simple so recycling actually works and is profitable, because it's not right now. Sorry that's a really heavy answer, but the good news is the producers are aware of it, the recyclers are aware of it, government is aware of it, and now China's kind of forcing us to face it, so it's a good thing.
Katie, there's one more question over here.
Well, first I want to say this is my son is 5, and this is his big environmental thing. It's the great garbage patch, so hopefully he'll work for you with it.
I want to meet him.
but I wanted to ask, and I went to the bathroom, so I'm not sure if this question was answered, about the policy, like on the policy level in terms of industry, like what is, what has there been anything going on at that level?
Yeah, that's a great question. So this is what the landscape kind of looks like right now. Where do I start? Have you heard about microbeads?
Yeah.
So microbeads were plastic, little tiny plastic pieces in like personal care products, face cleansers, toothpaste, stuff like that. And colleagues of ours raised the awareness of that, and people were like, I don't want microbeads in my mouth, and I don't want this, and I don't. So they, on a national level, were banned, right? And that was exciting. However, it was a bit misleading because you can't really compare microbeads to this microplastic issue because of the desire for convenience that we have for products. With microbeads, it was easy. People didn't want it. They didn't want it in their products, but a lot of people want plastic water bottles, they want bags, they want utensils, they want straws, they want these things because we have this desire for convenience for them. And so policymakers are afraid of that. They're afraid to legislate and piss people off in the community, right? Even the styrofoam ban last night, the room was full, and it was half full of opposition and half full of supporters, and we're just lucky. We're lucky that we have the data and the information, but there is a fight from the general public for convenience, but they're just scared of change when really, if we're gonna look at policy, this is what we have to start doing. We have to start looking at what products, what can we phase out that will never really fit within that circular model of production, right? That's things like plastic bags. Recyclers hate plastic bags. There's really not even enough plastic there for them to want to deal with. They're so thin, you know? Or things that have, things that are more like utility type plastics that we have alternatives for. Reusable water bottles, it's things, the way that I think about it, it's plastics that don't have products in them. Utensils, straws, styrofoam container or any containers, bags, utility type plastics. If we can start phasing those out, which we have, the plastic bag ban is now statewide. Over 150 cities have now banned styrofoam containers. Straws are totally next. That's like what everybody's starting to look at. So that's what's happening right now in policy, but nobody's holding the producers accountable yet. And I don't know what that's gonna look like.
Okay, well, just one quick one.
I've heard some rumors about this plastic eating algae research going on. Is that happening?
Yeah, so it is. That's not open to another. Sorry, there's so much information on this. It's really, it's a cool subject, as scary as it is. But so there have been researchers, and I don't know a lot about this, but I do know that there have been a couple types of bacteria that have been shown to break apart, I guess I really don't know the science behind it, but certain types of plastics, like polyurethane was one of them. Also, I think it was polystyrene. But the problem with that, talking about that, especially in a venue with general public, is people automatically will start to think that that is the solution or a major part of the solution to the problem, when it's not, because maybe they're capable of breaking down those molecules, right? But those products are not in their pure form. The same way that recyclers have a difficult time processing them because of the dyes and the chemicals and all the additives, it's the same thing for nature, right? That there's still all this stuff, and it's never going to be perfect. So the solution ultimately is going to be a mixture of inspiring change, so having communities fundamentally rethink the way that we're using single-use plastics, and requiring change, phasing out those plastics that will never fit within that circular model of production.
I think the ultimate is to use an algae or plant-based product to replace all these things.
I'm so sorry.
That's all right.
That is
Just real quickly though, that's
on some of them.
right. That's what you just said is key, because scientists right now are having a really hard time finding that balance between a plastic that will last on the shelf yet degrade after the product is used. It is a hard nut to crack. So we'll see. Yeah, I'm like, hopefully. Thank you so much.